Anthony Barone, this is great. Thank you for the word, the Milkmen, and I got everything tied in.
Yeah, we got our
and right
Jammers.
There's the Jammers. His whole life story is right before us.
Yeah.
So, when you heard the term Jamestown tarp skunks, your immediate reaction?
I just, I was hoping a little bit that we'd keep the tradition of the Jammers, and but no, I think it's unique. It's something where you can market, and we had a run-in with skunks while we were there when, I think in 2017, 2018, they started living in the tarp, and so I mean it fits. I like it a lot. I mean, it's just something where I think for the younger generation probably it's pretty cool. Being 40 plus and more of a baseball purist, it's okay. Just to be honest, it's okay.
We went all over the place
when
we first heard the idea, and then when it was explained by your grounds crew guy.
Yeah.
And so tell me, tell me your experience.
Yeah, well, we used to deal with them several places. So anytime we had a rain delay, we would, all the guys would come down from the dorms, and we always had to roll the tarp. The guys would help the city crew, and we all would help in, pitch in. And we always first made sure, we'd look in there and throw baseballs in there to just sort of warn the skunks that we were, going to be rolling the tarp. And so that was like the main experiences. Anytime you had a tarp roll, you had to worry about that. And then every night, laundry time came, uniforms, middle of the night, the skunks would run the concourse and look for food, obviously. I mean, I'm not really a skunk expert, but they'd be probably looking for food and leftovers from the game. And they were always around, and you always you're a little bit hesitant to walk around at night because they come out at night, and that's the last thing you want to do. So no, but it's unique. I guess first thought too, to be honest, was I sort of wondered what Russ Dietrich was thinking. I was wondering, like, is Russ like this, or just because Russ is such a purist of baseball? But no, I mean, nowadays minor league sports, summer collegiate, they're all going to the unique names, and it sort of fits with what's going on down there. And I know in the Northwoods League, I think Traverse City is like the Cherry Spitters or Cherry something. They're all unique, and the Hartford Yard Goats. And it's a unique way to make money. That's the most important thing in any business model. You have to make money. So if you're making money selling the shirts and the merchandise, that's the most important thing.
It jumped as soon as we launched it.
If
nothing else, everybody was talking about it.
Yeah.
Like you, I was close to that. Like, really, I'm a Jamestown Jammers. I like it. But everybody was talking about it. You loved it, you hated it. But for branding, that's all you want.
Yeah, and I think we had a year away from the Jammers, and and I think we had our own era. So I mean, it's good. We sort of moved on from that, and now it's a whole new generation, new era of Jamestown baseball. So I mean, who am I? I mean, it's not my franchise, not my organization, and if as long as I'm coaching, I don't care what it says across the jersey, and as long as I'm around the game, I love the game. So
my daughter lives in Whitefish Bay.
Oh wow!
Wisconsin,
yeah.
So not that far away. And I told her about the Milkmen.
Very familiar.
How far are you from?
Whitefish Bay is north of the city, a little bit, right on the coast. So of Lake Michigan, and I would say Whitefish Bay to our ballpark in Franklin, Wisconsin. Franklin is 7 miles southwest of the city, so we're probably 10 to 12 miles away. But I mean, depending on. Yeah, I'm very familiar with Whitefish Bay.
I'll make sure they stop by when you play.
Yeah, definitely.
Look you up. So tell me about you. In the beginning, there was an Anthony Barone. We know your dad was a baseball fan, but in your family, even going back to your grandfather, was baseball part of the fabric? Yeah,
I mean, I guess I grew up. I was born here in Jamestown, and then I sort of went wherever my father went to college. So University of Buffalo, University of Toledo Law School, and it was me, my mom, and my dad and my sister, and we just, all I can remember, my first experience with baseball was when I was living in Toledo, Ohio, and it was 1984. I was about 6 years old, and I can still remember watching the '84 World Series, the Tigers and the San Diego Padres, and I fell in love with the Detroit Tigers. So, like, when I was 5, it was amazing. They won the World Series. Alan Trammell was the World Series MVP, and from that day on, he was my favorite player until like probably in, I'd say, 1997 or 98. Then it sort of switched to another shortstop, Nomar Garciaparra. And then once that time hit, the Red Sox were my team, and I never really had an allegiance to a team because players were, in the late 90s, players started moving all over and free agency and all that. So, but no, I mean, my dad really got me into the game. I think my dad didn't really care he didn't make me play baseball or basketball, but he just wanted me to be active and be on a team sport and learn that teamwork. And, I just fell in love though when I was 5 years old. And my grandfather, he passed away about 14 years ago now.
What was his name?
Anthony. Yeah, Dr. Barone. He was a surgeon. My great-grandfather was a surgeon. And my father's an attorney, so it's like surgeons and attorneys sort of are in the blood, but I sort of went a different way. My profession is baseball, and I've loved it since I was 5. I did love basketball. I played, like I said, I got into multiple sports, but really when I got done with my college career, I knew I wanted to make baseball my profession, and hopefully I can do it for a long time.
1984, just digressing for a second.
Yeah.
In that seat, right where you're sitting, we had Goose Gossage.
Oh, wow.
And we had Goose Gossage, and we showed him a movie of the 1984 World Series when he was on the Padres and gave up that celebrated home run to Kirk Gibson.
Yeah.
When the manager came out and said, walk him, walk him, walk him. I got him. Walk him, walk him, walk him. Got him. Because even the manager was mic'd up. So
there was a lot. I remember that, and there was a lot of hand gestures going on that. Yeah.
And Gibson showed it. He reacted to it, then told the story. I won't get it on tape here. I'll point you to the YouTube because I can't do justice to Gossage talking about it.
Yeah.
It was great. But anyways, that was 84.
Yeah, that was the year, and like I said, I just fell in love with it, and anytime I could watch a game, look at a box score in the newspaper. Back then that's all we did. I made sure my mom or my mom would get home from work, and she was a radiology tech out there in Toledo, and I made sure either her or my father got the newspaper because there was no, you listen to radio, you watch some TV, you didn't have, what we have now. So, and Alan Trammell, Lou Whitaker, Chet Lemon, Jack Morris, that team that was my first love.
Did you go to the Mudheads games?
Yeah, that was back. They had Kent Herbeck and Kirby Puckett played for them for a bit. And yeah, I went to the old Mudhens games. It was surprising though, back then, I think they were the Twins affiliate. Wow. And I'm wondering why. I sort of wondered why, but it was neat.
Sure. So you play high school baseball.
Yeah.
Did you play college?
Yeah, so my senior year at Jamestown High School, I had a really good year, both with basketball and baseball, and I knew I was going to go play somewhere for something. I didn't know what yet, but I had somewhat of a bad luck at the end of my senior year. It was in May, early June, right after my high school season was just over. I was gonna go play at a university, and but anyway, long story short, I ended up putting my arm through a window by accident. Caused me to slice my ulnar tendon. I had a really, really horrific injury. Lucky I survived actually, and cut the artery and everything. So it was my right wrist. I couldn't use these 2 fingers. My thumb. It was an ulnar injury. I still remember Dr. Danny. He was the doctor on call for the emergency down at the at WCA, and it was a long surgery. And I was supposed to play in the Babe Ruth World Series that summer. It was the 18-year-old World Series that summer, and I had just come off a really, really good senior season in baseball, and was hoping to, you know, play down there because I never got the age thing never worked out for when I could play in the World Series, and so I was looking forward to that, and that was the first thing I knew when I put my arm through the window. I knew it was bad. The blood was spraying, and you know, the whole nine. And I knew my first thought wasn't like dying. My first thought was baseball. And you know, I get down there and Dr. Danny, he finishes the intensive surgery and staples, everything. And he said, you know, you're going to be in this cast up to your shoulder because the tendon and everything. You're going to be in the cast for 3.5 months. So I'm like, oh boy. So unfortunately, missed the whole summer. Didn't know if I was going to be able to play baseball again. I was very fortunate. He did a wonderful job on the surgery. And so I decided, because I didn't know how I was going to recover from that surgery and the injury, I decided to stay right here at JCC, at Jamestown Community College. And Kerry Kellogg sent me a letter, and he said, we'd love to have you play shortstop for us. And he knew about my injury. And that fall, I was finally able to sort of start getting back into doing things, and sort of blossomed from there, and had great experience playing at Jamestown Community College. And then I also played basketball for Mike Cordovano down there and made a national championship tournament. And it was a great, you know, academically got everything, you know, where I needed to get to, and then got a scholarship to a 4-year university down in New Jersey, Felician University, and finished off my baseball career there. Made wonderful relationships there. Roomed with Willie Randolph's son, who became one of my close friends. Me and Andre, it was a cool experience seeing his father, who was, you know, a Yankees legend, a Yankees captain, Yankees current third base coach when I was there, and it was a great experience. So that's sort of just the baseball thing. And unfortunately, you know, I had a great career there. Got a couple sniffs with pro ball and this and that, but just that was my story with playing through college. So.
But you ended up coaching and getting into the college ranks that way.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah, it was went to college to be a elementary education teacher, and I just, you know, I did well in school. I always did academically. I was fine. I just knew I never really wanted to per se work. I wanted to stay in the sports industry, do something I loved. And I was living on the Jersey Shore in 2001. My first job here's a college graduate from a Catholic university, good education. My first job I was a carny on the Jersey Shore, a place called Jenkinson's Boardwalk, right in Point Pleasant Beach. And that was my first job after college. And I was living with one of my college teammates down on the shore. Didn't really have a plan. I knew, you know, I was getting pressured. You know, even my college advisors was, you need to apply for some teaching jobs. You know, I'm gonna have a little, you know, because when you play sports your whole life, you sort of, I needed a little bit of break and just to enjoy it. And but yeah, I ended up working there, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do this ever. You know, I'm like, so that's when Kerry Kellogg was coaching at Jamestown Community College still, and he said, you know, do you want to get into the college coaching? You know, here's a guy I played for and had a great relationship with, and he was a great, you know, mentor for me, and he offered me an assistant job, and I'm like, you know, and I just came back home to Jamestown with my college degree and started my college coaching career, and you know, and me and Kerry worked together for a long time, and became the head coach there after he retired, and had some good success there, and just sort of translated to what I'm doing now, I guess. Just I've always you know, been in the game, luckily, and it's just something I love, and I have a passion to do it. So it's I'm very fortunate.
So where I'm looking over your shoulder, I'll flash up here again, Jamestown Jammers, and that was owned by The Rock.
Yeah.
And were you involved prior to that when it was under Kevin Romberg?
Yeah, so it's there. I'll give you a quick story about that.
Yeah.
I was out of baseball for 1 year in my life. after college. So in 2013, I was coaching, an assistant coach out at Cal State Bakersfield, Division I school in the Western Athletic Conference, and so I was out there. Then I got the job to manage a team, the Wellsville Nitros, in 2013 in the NYCBL. So I went from California to Wellsville, managed the team out there. And then I just, at that time I was going, I came back home. Long story, but I came back home, and 2014 I was sort of not in the game. It was the only year in the past 20 years where I haven't been in baseball, and it was hurting pretty bad. I was upset, going through a lot at that time, and my kids were, my kids were great, and it was great to be with my family, and so I got a job at the GA home for a year as a counselor. Sort of used my educational background, and had to pay bills. Obviously, you got to pay your bills and do those things, so, and take care of your family. But yeah, so I was working there in 2014, and then I was at Phil and Cindy's down in Falconer when I saw Mayor Teresi, Sam Teresi. He had known my prior history with baseball, and I knew the Jammers had just went they moved to Morgantown, and the old professional team. So I saw Mayor Teresi at Phil and Cindy's, and he's like, "Hey, you got a minute to talk?" I go, "Yeah." I go, "Actually, I gotta run. I was actually just on a break, and I had to get back up to work." He goes, "Just give me a call in the next couple of days." I said, so I called Mayor Teresi right back the next couple of days, and he said, "Do you have any interest in getting back into baseball?" I said, "Yeah, I'd love to," and he said, "Well, you know what? I don't know if you sort of followed what's going on with Jamestown, and Kevin Romberg bought the team, and he's a fellow from Ohio, Lorain, Ohio, and we'd like to talk to you a little bit." And well, anyway, so we go through that process. Nothing sort of comes of it yet, and in the process, Rock Ventures, from back then it was called MKE Sports. Mike Zimmerman has switched names and done that, and I get a call. So Kevin then sells the team to Mike Zimmerman and Rock Ventures, MKE Sports. And then Kevin had sort of what I had talked about, prior to, and Mayor Teresi sort of was in the mix and said, "Hey, I really think you should interview," he told Mike and Dan Kinsey, who's our GM, "I really think you need to interview this guy, Anthony Barone." And at that time, like I said, I was working over at GA Home, and I was content, not they were great. They gave me a great job, and I was, like I said, it's just...
That was Carl Wiggins?
Yes, yeah, and Carl, I'm thankful for anytime, you get a job when you don't have a job, and, I was so thankful and grateful for the opportunity there. But it wasn't what I loved to do, and, and my family could see that, and everybody sort of could see, "Anthony, you don't look happy," and truthfully, I wasn't happy of what I was doing. So this couldn't have come at a better time, and so Dan Kinsey, Mike Zimmerman, it is now, I want to say, January 2015. I think, I don't know the dates, maybe it might have been February, January, December, I don't remember. It was freezing cold, and they flew me. They said, "Anthony, we're going to make you a plane flight, and we want you to interview up here in Milwaukee." I'm like, "Okay, I've never been up there," and I was nervous, and to be honest, and my biggest fear was knowing that most summer collegiate baseball coaches are not full time, So I'm like, okay, so what am I going to do? How am I going to make this work where I make maybe $10,000 just doing the summer? How am I going to quit my job and not have been, So that's my, being a father and being, trying to be responsible. That was my first thought. So but I can still remember though, both my parents, my mother and my father, both, "Anthony, you owe it to yourself to go out there to do the interview and talk to them and just to see what's going to happen." And so I still remember, I flew out there and my flight was delayed. It was one of the worst storms we've had in this area, and I flew out of Erie, PA. Just to get to Erie was really tough. And my father took me to Erie. We were waiting out there with me, my kids, and my flight got delayed 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, and the next thing you know, it doesn't leave till midnight that night. And they're like, Dan Kinsey, I can still remember. So he's always been so positive and such a great person to work for all these years. You know, he goes, Anthony, don't worry, we're going to pick you up at, you know, whenever you can get out here, we're going to get you here. So, you know, my flight ended up getting into Milwaukee that night. And it's not a direct. It went from Erie to Chicago, Chicago to Milwaukee, and got there like 2 in the morning. And it was probably negative 20 degrees out there. Now people don't realize this about Milwaukee either. It doesn't hardly snow there. And I didn't know that. But it gets cold. And it's a different type of cold than here. So I got there, and I go through the interview process with Mike and Dan, and they actually own a professional indoor soccer team called the Milwaukee Wave. So it was a great experience. They took me to the game, sat in like the owner's area, and then they interviewed me afterwards in their conference room at the old Bradley Center, like near the Bradley Center there with the Bucks. And so we're there, and you know, I can still remember this day. You know, Mike and Dan interviewing me, and it went really well. And I flew back. My flight, scariest flight I've ever had, into Erie. I'm flying in, and it's so icy, and it's horrible weather. The plane actually went through the runway.
Oh my gosh.
I knew I was going to live, but I didn't know, are we going to crash into something? And it was one of the most challenging trips I've ever had from a weather and transportation standpoint. But I got home, and the next day later, Dan Kinsey gives me a call and says, hey, we want to offer you the job to be our, you know, field manager. I'm like, all right, you know, and he goes, I'll send you over a proposal, or, you know, a job proposal. And I'm like, okay, great. And he emailed me it over, and it was for full-time work. He goes, you know, you impressed me on the interview, you impressed Mike, and we love your energy and your optimism. And here, to this day, I promised Mike and Dan, and you can ask Austin Alonge, who worked with me for quite some time, and other players, I promised them a championship in 3 years, and it took me 4, but the third year we were close. And so it was for them to give me the opportunity to be a full-time summer collegiate guy, doing stuff in the off season with the community, and just giving me the freedom to grow as like a baseball person. It developed me coming here to Jamestown and being with the Jammers from 2015 until our championship in 18. I learned so much from a managerial standpoint, how to handle players, you know, going into the community, doing speaking. I did everything. And, you know, as you know, like from, you know, Rotary meetings to, I was trying to get out in the community as much as I could. And I think that's part of the reason I had so much fun, because I had 2 different type things going on. You know, it wasn't just baseball, and I learned everything from sponsorships to ticketing, and it was a wonderful experience that they gave me, and you know, it sort of snowballed into what's going on now.
You remember meeting Joe Charbonneau?
I never met Joe.
No, met you with.
I never met Joe. Kevin actually was supposed to have him come up and talk with me, and I don't know what happened. Me and Kevin spent a lot of hours together, and I never got to meet Joe. We talked on the phone, and he was quite the character, and he had a lot of energy. That's what I could remember, and he had a passion about the game too. So it was, but I never got the chance to meet him. And
we had an event at the Jackson Center.
Yeah.
Kevin and Joe, interviewing the 2 of them.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah, I bet.
You want pure comedy.
Yeah.
Baseball was about 5 minutes. Let's get that out of the way.
Yeah.
Talk about the Jammers. That's good. Now let's talk about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your characters.
Yeah. In 2015, I got to work with Kevin quite a bit. He helped out in the front office and did some things, and we spent a lot of time together. And you know, Kevin had a unique personality, and I think it was more than just baseball with him, and it kept everything pretty light.
The biggest question in these independent leagues, of which the Tarp Skunks is currently in the Perfect Game Collegiate Baseball League, which you were in, is, of course, everybody asks, how do you get the players? How do you get the talent? What's the skill set to do that? So Explain how you got the players.
Yeah, well, in 2015, because I got the job in February, March, that time frame, Kevin Romberg sort of already had somewhat assembled the team, and I came in and we worked together on that. But after 15, he sort of went his way, and Mike and Dan sort of let me just do it all. And we started in 2016, and I sort of knew the blueprint of what type of guys, what type of programs I wanted to get them from. I wanted guys sort of to be like me a little bit. Not that I was a Major League Baseball player, but guys that worked hard, guys that had a chip on their shoulder, guys that I knew that were going to do the right things on and off the field. So I wanted to have a team that I sort of could build where I could trust them, And I think that's the biggest thing when you recruit a roster for summer collegiate baseball, is you have to be able to trust your players. The players have to be able to trust you. You cannot be like micromanager with these guys. They've done it. They've had that throughout their college season. They want to come relax, play baseball, no school, nothing else, just baseball. And so when I went out and did this, I made it sort of a big part of when I would talk to a head coach at a Division I school, Division II, whatever division it was, just to make sure they were good academically. That was a big thing with me. I don't want a guy that's not a great academic achiever. I want a guy, is he a guy, that's going to work hard, sort of things like that. And can he represent Jamestown, the community? Because I'll tell you one thing, working for Mike and Dan, that's the biggest thing. I didn't want to let those guys down with putting a product here in Jamestown that didn't represent what we're about, is like an organization, Rock Ventures, return on community, and and I owe it to the people in Jamestown, because this is where
By the way, just you mentioned it, Rock Return
on community. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yep, and so I owed it to Jamestown too, because I'm from here. I want to put the best damn product out here that I can, and win as many games as I can. So I was going from the most talent. I might have tried to overachieve getting guys. I was calling SEC schools. I was trying to get the best players that probably should be in the Cape Cod League. I was trying to get them here into Jamestown, and I wasn't always successful doing that, but it was just the networking. Just knowing programs you can trust. Knowing that, if a player comes here from University of Texas San Antonio, they're not going to quit on you halfway through the season because they miss their mom or their girlfriend or their dog, whatever it might be. They're going to stick it out, and they're going to play hard for, back then, the 50-some games or whatever, and they're going to play hard the whole summer. And I had that mentality where, when I recruited a guy, I made sure to tell their coach how it was going to be. I was going to give the player their freedom. I'm not going to micromanage them. I'm going to treat them professionally, And if those players couldn't handle it, then they're not the guys for me. So I had a lot of trust in our players. That was like the biggest thing. I wanted to make sure that I was getting guys that were responsible. And now, don't get me wrong, I'm sure they had their fun and they did their, But ultimately, I think in the 4 years that I managed here, as a manager, I started trusting players each and every year, and the proudest thing of my accomplishments here was each year we got better. That was the coolest thing. I learned each year, and as a manager, coach, you want to learn and try to get better. And every year, we not only record wise, but from a financial standpoint, I think from everything we did, we got better every year, and culminated with 2018.
What was your pitch if you had to call somebody, coach?
Yep.
And say, all right, you don't know me from Adam. I'm Anthony Barone.
Yep.
I'm from Jamestown, New York. Give me your 3 big pitches. What do you tell that coach?
We're gonna do things the right way. Ballpark. Facilities was always a big, you come here, you're going to play at a first-class facility, live in a great place, and I'm gonna coach your guy hard. We're gonna. And the other thing that I know a lot of summer programs don't care about, and I mean some of them do, some of them don't. But we were going to win. I told them we're going to learn how to win. You know, we're going to teach your, you know, your student athlete how to become a champion. And I think if you interviewed anybody from the 2018 team, I told them from day one, when they flew in, when they drove in, wherever, I said, we're going to be champions this summer, and we're going to learn, we're going to teach you how to be a champion off the field, on the field. When we go, if you guys go to, you know, get a burger, you're going to be a champion. You're going to conduct yourself in a championship way. And I don't know, I think like me and Hayden Carter, who my pitching coach, me and Hayden have developed a great relationship, and he to the day thinks like that I sort of brainwashed the players to think like, hey, these guys, you know, because I'll be honest, like, and I'll tell everybody this too, 2017 might have been the best collegiate summer team in the country, talent-wise. I mean, we were, I think, 26-3 at one point, number 3 in the country or something. But 2018, I was a little bit disappointed in 17 that we got to Game 3 in the championship series. We were at home. We had a great crowd, and we didn't come through. And I was disappointed probably for months, and that was all that was on my mind. I mean, and I actually kept the Post-Journal paper. I don't remember what this. It was a beautiful article, well done. And it said, you know, end of the road. That's what the caption was in 2017. End of the road. I kept it in my office all off season, and kept it right there where I could see it. I go into the office, I couldn't miss it. And Mohawk Valley, I think they beat us 7-3. I don't even remember the score, but it's end of the road. I'm like, this shit can't happen again. And that's sort of what my montage was the rest of that off season. And I still think 2018, like I said, we were not as talented. We got a different type of guy that came in, and they just believed that they could do it. And you know, the coolest part of that whole story was we go 26-1 at home that year. We were one of the worst road teams in the league. We were the 1 seed, okay? Not because we were so good at home. We go 26-1 at home, and who was it? I think Rusty. I don't remember the call I got, but you know, during the year, all of our guys, you know, because if you get the 1 seed, you get home field advantage all through the playoffs. And I told the guys, we were so bad on the road. I said, you know, guys, we're gonna have to win on the road eventually. And this was halfway through the year, and I still remember the player, Isaiah Moten, one of our starting pitchers from California. He sort of raised his hand while I was speaking. He goes, "Hey, coach, you know, not to burst your bubble, but hey, man, we're gonna get the 1 seed. We're not gonna have to win on the road. We're just gonna win at home. We'll have home field advantage." And I sort of I like the mentality. You know, we're gonna get the 1 seed, and sure enough, we clinched the 1 seed. I can still remember the night we beat Geneva here at the stadium. We celebrated in the locker room, and you know, home field advantage to the playoffs. I get a call like that next day, and the Babe Ruth World Series is, you know, we couldn't come to an agreement, and we now aren't going to be home at all in the playoffs. So here's this optimistic person myself, and I usually am. I'm like, oh man, you know, we lose last year in 2017 in the championship Game 3, winner take all. And we've worked so hard to get to this point where we're the 1 seed coming off that disappointment, and then I just get told after all this hard work, we're gonna have to win this on the road. I'm like, oh man, we were the worst, not the worst, but we were in a great road team, and we didn't know what it was. But Russ Dietrich came on the bus. I remember before we were leaving for Geneva for our best of 3 series there, and Russ came on the bus and was very positive, and he felt bad, and you know, he sort of tried to inspire the players, and you know, you guys had a wonderful season, and don't let this get the best of you. And here's their manager of the team. You know, personally, it was almost like, you know, I felt like we'd worked so hard for this, and then you know, I just hope we didn't come up short. But that's where that's where the trust that my players had in everything, and the culmination of 4 years of finally, as a manager, trusting the guys just to go do it, just go play. And we saw it as a challenge. Like, this is sort of cool. We get to be Mike Zimmerman and Dan Kinsey didn't think it was great because, you know, budget and bus trips, and, you know, they felt bad for the guys because, like, you know, hey, you know, we want to win a championship. And Dan and Mike have always been great to me, and they just, you know, they said, go out and kick some ass and do what you can. You know, we're proud of you. And you know, and that sort of set the stage, I think, for one of the coolest runs we ever, you know, baseball, this area. You know, people don't know about it because they didn't get to see it, you know. And I know, though, you know, I was on that bus, the bus ride home when we won in Amsterdam, and I could just, the stories, just to win, to beat Amsterdam, who is every year the most talented team in the Perfect Game Collegiate Baseball League. The type of players that they get compared to that roster that we had in 2018, and then if you told me that we were going to beat them on their home plate, on their home field, 3 games, you know, I mean, betting man probably wouldn't have taken us, but that's where the trust came in, and finally the culmination for me as a manager, just trust the guys, let them go do their job. And sure enough, you know, we're you know, nothing was easy. We were down 4-2 going into we were actually the home team in game 3 in Amsterdam, and 4-2. There was a rain delay that game, whatever. 4-2, bottom 7, and we have first and second, no outs. Like, great, this is a great situation. We can move them up, maybe get them in, you know, tie the score. And we get to a 3-0 count with Alex O'Donnell, our best player by far that summer. And he 3-0, and I had the bunt sign on originally the whole. I'm like screw this, let him hit. You know, now we got the best player, our best hitters in a good count. He gets to 3-2. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to put these guys in motion. Everyone's in motion. Let's stay out of the double play. Alex never strikes out. So 3-2 guys are in motion. What does he do? Pops one up. So I'm like, oh, God. I'm like, I just get hit a ground ball somewhere so we can move up second to third. So he pops it up. First and second, 1 out. We have Sterling Hayes up from Vanderbilt. And Sterling, another good guy with bat control, and works a 3-0 count. Like, you got to be kidding me. So he gets to 3-2. I put the guys in motion again. Sterling's quick. He's not going to ground into a double play, whatever. Thought it was a good baseball play. Pops it up. I'm like, oh, God. I'm like, maybe it's just not meant to be, you know? So, and finally, Chase King's up. And Chase is one of our young guys from University of Texas, San Antonio. And biggest, I'll still say it, the biggest hit in Jamestown baseball history. He gets down first and second, no outs, or 2 outs. And he's facing a tough guy from Seton Hall. I remember the pitcher. And he looks bad at first. He looks at us one right down the middle. And anyway, 0-2. The guy, I'm like, great. And Chase will chase pitches down in the count. So I'm like, oh, this isn't a good situation. But, you know, and I don't know who was looking over us, but Chase got a pitch on 0-2 and hits it over the left field wall, opposite field, and we take the 5-4 lead, and Ryan Boyer closes it out. And I really, you know, it was all like a miracle, and it was the best baseball experience I think I've ever had. So, yeah, it was good.
So you end up with a ring.
Yeah, the ring here, and I don't break it out for much. But yeah, it was, you know, it's a life. I feel like it's a lifelong accomplishment, and of course, you know, the way Rock Ventures does it, Mike Zimmerman and Dan, they get us the best stuff, and, you know, always take care of us. So it was, you know, and I told the guys, you know, how, you know, and it was great. You know, we had a proclamation that we beat Amsterdam. It was like 6 hours away. Yeah, why not? You know, we had some beers on the bus. We had a good time, and you know, I didn't always probably do things the politically correct way, but we had a lot of fun on the way home on the bus ride. I think it was actually better to celebrate it with your players after that long season, and then you celebrate a championship, the trophies on the bus, and you know, it's the last time you're probably going to see a lot of those guys, and it was the best way to do it. And then the next day, you know, the mayor says, "Hey, can you come to City Hall at like noon?" I'm like, "Yeah." We rolled in from Amsterdam at like 8 in the morning with no sleep. You know, I had a couple beers, and it was like, sure, I'm going to shower up and we'll get to City Hall. And it was nice because Hayden joined me, and Scotty, our clubhouse manager, and two of our players, Ryan Boyer, who was the Championship Series MVP, and Austin Parent. And those were the only two guys left. It was like, it was weird. You get home from Amsterdam, you celebrate this championship, and then 2 hours later, they're all like, where is everybody? Lockers are cleaned out. You know, give them a couple, you know, hugs, goodbye, and that was it. And that was, I think it sort of set the stage for, you know, my next step in my career. And you know, I can still remember to 2015 when Mike and Dan flew me out to Milwaukee. And it's sort of, when you're celebrating that, you know, you sort of think of all the things in 1984 and when you fall in love with a game, and you know, and you know, it was cool to bring back a championship for the city you're from. You know, for the people like yourself that have done so much, and Russ Dietrich and the mayor who wanted a championship. And I just wish we could have celebrated it at home with the fans, because we had such a great year there at home, and at Dietrich Park. And but it was all the story itself was a great sports story. And you know, and I still to this day, you know, a couple of years later, I'm still in contact with all those guys. And you know, you as a manager, as a coach, you owe your players so much. You know, the happiness they bring you, and I guess that's why I love managing. I love the personal relationships you develop with your players, and the stories, and the bus rides, and it's not always just about the game, because the game's going to frustrate you a lot, but you know, you're gonna enjoy the other stuff.
You win, and
Yep.
then you have an opportunity to move on.
Yeah.
And at the same time, part of that is really Rock making a decision with regards to Jamestown. Did they confer with you at all about kind of the two things that were going on? One is an opportunity for you to come to Milwaukee, and two, maybe this doesn't fit their geographical mindset.
Yeah, that's a great question, because, you know, for 4 years, it was almost like I was on this island by myself working here. You know, Mike and Dan trusted me with their franchise down here by myself. But I think it got to a point where, you know, they had the plan in place to have the Milwaukee Milkmen. They got the expansion right, you know, to be in the American Association, and we knew 2019 was going to be the first year that the Milkmen were going to be in existence. And Mike's building this $126 million ballpark commons, it's called, where we have our ballpark, we have, you know, youth fields, adult fields, we have, well, just today I found out a drive-in movie theater, golf bays called Lux Bays. We also are in the process right now of building a field house, like, you know, a sports performance center, coffee shops, you know, so Mike, senior citizen living, apartments. So Mike has this big plan, and I think, financially, the first couple of years, Mike probably could have said, "Hey, let's pull the plug on this." But I think Mike was very loyal and very, Mike and Dan is Mike's right-hand man, and Dan, if you mention Mike, you mention Dan, and Dan was always, Dan always puts things into perspective, and he's very, very good with, communicating with me, and so the plan, we sort of had an idea 2018 was going to be our last year, just from a financial standpoint, from what we were trying to do out there. I think it didn't make sense for them to have the geographical team out here in New York. I think too, I don't know, I think they felt comfortable with me running it here, and I was happy when they asked me to be a part of what they were doing out in Milwaukee. So, I don't know, because we had a routine, and I think, with me, me going out, I think it was just like everything and that came together. But I know ultimately this Milwaukee Milkmen thing, Mike this is his thing. And I know we still have Kokomo in the Northwoods League, but Kokomo's 3.5 hour drive, and it's something where I think they feel comfortable, still running and operating them. But to be honest, I thought 2016 was going to be our last year, but Mike and Dan just kept saying, let's do this, let's go as long as we can. And I know we would have liked to have more fans probably in the stands, but it got, like I said before, it did get better. Every year it got better. And I think there's a lot that, there's a lot of why it got better. I think a lot of it was we won. Our players got out in the community. And a lot of it too is, based on weather. 1 year, I think 2016, the first couple weeks of the season, you couldn't, it was 38 degrees and, at night, and people don't want to come out to the games. I think another tricky part with, running summer collegiate here is the school year is long here. It goes into the end of June almost. And, other states, I know where we're, in Milwaukee, they're done by, end of May, early June. And it's a little, there's things that hinder the ability, but I know we always talk about Jamestown. We still do. Mike and Dan both, it's a special place for them. And they tell me the story when they bought the team from Kevin, and they flew into Buffalo, and it took them 4 hours to get here, and they said they never saw snow like this, and they fell in love with the ball. Mike fell in love with the ballpark as soon as he got here, and they both, there's something about the place down, when you get down there, I've been to some pretty cool places now, but there's something about the ballpark down there, Dietrich Park. There's just something, the nostalgia and the way you feel when you go in there. It's unique, and nothing like it.
Well, we appreciate not only your ongoing interest in this, but Rock, for the record, gave the franchise to Jamestown essentially, as long as they created a Jamestown community baseball, local investors. Yeah. So that was the condition. We did it. They did it. Everybody complied, and it's reality. But for the pandemic, but we got 30 some people who invested, and the organization is viable and real, and you've set a legacy, and I'm so thrilled that Mike and Dan, and that when they hear this, had enough faith to make it affordable and easy for us to continue on here.
Yeah, and I think that was the coolest part, and I think that's something that I don't know how many people know that. I mean, you do, and I think that's I can still remember in 2018, I remember during the season, there was people wanting, there was the talks of the franchise being bought and, selling to somebody. So there was a lot of things going on during that season, but I think Mike and Dan felt like Mike just wanted to make sure to put it in the right hands. And I think the best way to do it was to do what they did. And I think it's a cool story. And for you guys to, run with it and put in the time and the effort and get people involved, like a community-based organization, that's going to be the way it works, I think. I think that's, and we all know the hurdle. There's hurdles in every small city in America for baseball sports, especially now. But what you guys have done, it creates the platform now for these college athletes to come here and succeed, and that's what it's, and giving the community and the young, the youth of the, if I didn't have things when I grew up here, I would have never been able to aspire to do what I wanted to do. So that's what's important, is just making the community, giving the community hope. And sports is a big part of it. And when I found out, the baseball was going to be back, and I always still check it out, and I'm always, whether I'm managing the Milwaukee Milkmen or wherever I am, I'm always going to care about what's happening, with Jamestown baseball. And it was funny you asked me about the name. I don't have any care about the name. I just care about baseball, and and what you guys do with it in the future. And I think just I try to tell Jordan. Me and Jordan Bazil, we talk a little bit, and I think the biggest thing, I think if I could tell any manager in summer baseball is let the guys play, and and that's sort of what got us to what celebrating in 2018 was me just having the trust and the faith in those players that they're going to do their jobs, and I can just sit back and watch some good players play baseball and make a couple decisions. But it's great that Dietrich Park has baseball. We're all going to get through this pandemic, and one way or the other, we're going to have baseball again. And I'm hoping for just for the youth that they get to see all this, because that's what's like I said, when I was 5 years old, that's when I fell in love with the game, and so you hope that the youth of America can continue to watch sports, and we can all get through this. And I'm so glad baseball's here, and the right people are running it, and you guys, I'm glad just we didn't just give it to somebody else, and we know that you guys care about what happens down at Dietrich Park, and hopefully there'll be other championships. But I know that I was very happy I got to leave with a championship, and it felt like all the hard work that we put in, it just came to fruition. And there's so much work that goes into having a team, and just proud of what we've done, and proud of the city, because the city ended up really giving us a great boost that year in 2018, and we won a lot of games there, and just hope it continues.
Well, we're so proud of you and your accomplishments.
Yeah.
And you've been elevated to not only on the field, but now manager, and you will be playing soon.
Yeah.
What's the question I should have been asking you that I didn't? What was the one you were waiting for? Any questions?
What's the difference between baseball, maybe? Between baseball wise, it's a different type of a game, I guess, at that level, at the level we're at now. When you're dealing with players and contracts, and the professional game is a lot different.
Because you are professional. I mean,
you're
an independent professional league.
Oh yeah.
Not affiliated, but
not affiliated, but basically, we'll get a lot of AA, AAA, big league guys, and it's a great level of baseball, and the speed of the game it's so much different. It's very comparable to AA, AAA. Like I said, our roster right now, out of the 28 guys on our roster that we've signed, we've got 4 or 5 major leaguers. We've got 10 AAA guys, 6 AA guys. So it's very, very good baseball. And
just out of curiosity, do you look at these guys out? Do you have a general manager? That's part of being an independent professional manager, and that you sort of develop the roster. Just and I think I've had experience at developing rosters, but this is different. So me and Dan Kinsey and Mike, we all work on it together. Basically, I'll stir up a prospect or a guy that we might fit, and then I'll bring it to Dan, and then Mike sort of has the final veto on everything. But we work together. We get the Major League Baseball has a release list from their minor league teams, so we'll get a list of probably 1,200 guys throughout the course of the year, and phone numbers, agents' names. You get it all, and most of these guys want to continue their career. They think that they're going to get to the big leagues, and they're just been one step away in AAA. A guy from the Bisons might get released, and there he is. Wants to play independent baseball, and they make more money than they do in minor league baseball. The contracts are, we have a salary cap that we have to adhere to, so it's really tricky, But yeah, all of our guys, you have to keep a certain amount of rookies, guys that haven't been in affiliated baseball yet. So for instance, we have a guy, Chris Conley, that played for us in the Jammers, perfect game Collegiate Baseball League Player of the Year in 2017. He played 4 years at Canisius, went undrafted. Really good.
Yeah, he was really good. And he went undrafted, went to the United Shore Professional League in 2018, which is in Michigan. It's another independent league. He was an all-star there and sort of made his progression, and we signed him, and and he's on our roster still. So yeah, so it's just unique. The independent circuit is some of the best baseball. You have the American Association, which is us. You have the the Atlantic League, which is Long Island Ducks. They sort of on the East Coast a little bit. You have the Frontier League, which joined with the Can-Am League with Quebec, and so it's really unique. You have all these independent franchises.
Where's Mike Veck's team?
He's St. Paul. He's in our league.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's if you want, it's such an experience. We played there opening night last year. Bill Murray's part owner of that team, and yeah, you go there, and it's they won the American Association Championship last year. You go there, and it's 8,000, 9,000 people. The club, I mean, it's like you're playing in Yankees. I mean, the clubhouses. But and that's what we're trying to compete with. And Mike's, we got a pretty good facility ourselves. But yeah, St. Paul sort of does thing. They have a lot of entertainment, and they know how to they know how to definitely run it.
Well, he set the stand. Mike Veck set the
yes,
standard.
Yeah.
He put independent leagues on our.
Yeah, there's actually a thing on Prime Video about them now. It's called For the Fun of the Game. I think it's a whole story, hour long, on the St. Paul Saints. So yeah, you go up there, and it's a cool. You go there for a 3-game series, and we play in some of the coolest cities. Winnipeg, they love baseball. Fargo, North Dakota. So we're all around, and it's pretty neat.
Do you look for, or is there an opportunity to have somebody on a Milwaukee team who is a recently played Milwaukee Brewers?
Yeah, there's some teams try to do that. Like last year, the Chicago Dogs in our league, they signed Carlos Zambrano. So Carlos was pitching for them last year. We haven't had the luck yet of getting a Milwaukee Brewer. We have a hometown Milwaukee guy. His name is Adam Walker. He was like the next Aaron Judge, actually. He's 6'6". Made it to AAA. He was like a second-round pick. He led AAA in home runs one year with 37. Anyway, never made it to the bigs. He's been on 6 different 40-man rosters, but he's right from Milwaukee, and he's hit the hardest ball in minor league. You know how they have the exit velocity now? In the last 10 years. You should see his BP. It's phenomenal. He'll hit 500-foot home runs, and so yeah, he's a local guy. But yeah, some teams tried it. I mean, if you can, like last year we had a guy, it was pretty neat. We had a guy, Manny Corpus. He used to be the Colorado Rockies closure, pitched in the 2013 World Series. So it's cool, the guys you get to meet, and because that's what's really, these players, they all think they can get there. And that's the one thing. They all have that burning desire to make it to the big leagues, and just because one team gets rid of them doesn't mean that's going to derail, what they want to do. So I think I got one of the best jobs in America. I get to get these guys that have been at a really high level and try to get them back there, and try to help them with their dreams. So
just curious, I know you have a salary cap.
Yeah.
If you wanted, for PR purposes, to get somebody who's 38 years old, Brewers, big name, but just got cut.
Yep.
Could you go get him?
Yeah, we would. Yeah, we could.
But they'd have to take your salary. You could.
He'd have to sign a contract in the American Association, and we have a 23-man roster limit, so we'd have to figure out how it all fits in. But it happens. So yeah, it's very
But the player would have to recognize he'd have to play at this.
Yeah.
Financially at this level.
Financially, yes. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. We think we do a pretty good job in the American Association. Paying our guys. So, people don't get rich off minor league baseball though, but they do it because they have the passion and the dream to get to the big leagues, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity I have, and that's why I guess the whole pandemic, and it just makes you, it makes you realize though what's important. My family is healthy, and There's going to be baseball again. I just, I guess selfishly, because I love what I do, I just wish I was out doing that right now. And we're hoping for a July 1st start. We're supposed to, hear very shortly what's going to happen. And, I guess we just sort of play it by ear.
Thank you. This is fantastic. What a bonus.
I had so much fun. And, it's always great talking about, Jamestown and what we accomplished and, the future of Jamestown baseball and let's not forget about the past and, and all those people that put in the hard work and the affiliated organizations that were here. And, and I still remember going to the Expo games when I was a kid too. And it's a great place to have a baseball team and just hope to continue it.